Get down to it, why did this book take me 4 months to read? So first of all is the writing. I feel like I read so many reviews of this book where people are like, the writing is so beautiful. For me, it's not that the writing was bad, it was specifically the way that the characters talk to each other. This might sound really mean, but I had to Google if this book might have been translated from a different language. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But just the way that the characters talk to each other, I was like, is there like a gap in culture here? And granted, it does take place in Amsterdam and it does take place hundreds of years before the present day, but I was just like, the way that some of these people talk to each other, it just kind of weirded me out. So that was difficult for me. On top of the fact that, like I said, the story just went in a direction that I wasn't expecting, and it was a little bit boring for me, I'm not gonna lie. So it was also a little bit repetitive, and the pace was kind of off, and I honestly didn't really care about a lot of the characters. A lot of them had very selfish intentions, which I guess is kind of realistic, I mean, honestly, but I just found them to be quite unlikable. However, the reason that I kept reading it and didn't DNF it was because I was intrigued by this miniaturist plotline, and I wanted to find out why the things that this miniaturist was making was mimicking the things in real life, because that's literally the only aspect of this story that has any kind of like magical element to it, and so I wanted an explanation for it. Again, spoiler alert, but not really. We never get an explanation for it. So I'm so glad that I read this for 4 months for that specific thing, only to not know what happens. So that is why I gave this book 1.5 stars. The only reason that I gave it half a star was because I will say that the ending was rather upsetting. And again, I mean that in a positive way of like it was realistic in the way that it ended, where things don't wrap up all nicely in a little bow in this book, and neither does real life. So I will applaud the author for that. The other thing is that, again, in a very realistic way, there is a scene in this book, a childbirth scene, so trigger warning if that's something that might upset you. And this author did not shy away from writing about, I don't want to use the word gross, but like the not so pretty aspects of childbirth. Things that in like other books would typically be like a fade to black scene or like a just a brushed over scene. She went into great detail, and again, I will applaud the author for being super realistic about it. But as far as the actual story, I found it boring and I didn't get the answers that I wanted to, so I personally can't say that I would recommend it.